Welcome to the DCS Situation Report.
Your expected approach time 3-4, approach button 17, the altimeter 2997.
Well, hello and welcome back to the DCS Situation Report, where we discuss news and information about DCS World. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, and this week we're looking at some exciting progress on AI air assets and the continuing development of things related to helicopters in DCS World. Let's start with some housekeeping information from the Eagle Dynamics team to begin today's briefing, and that's to do with the ending of the current lunar sale.
Altimeter 2997 in Sayer State.
Remember, there are some great savings on map, aircraft and campaign modules, up to 50% on some, 30% on others, so don't miss out on great savings on aircraft like the Hornet, for example, and the Supercarrier, which among many of the modules are fantastic. Speaking of the Hornet, many of you may have noticed that Spudknocker did an updated cold and dark startup for the Hornet this week, covering some of the new procedures and rationale for their processes. Unfortunately, he also indicated that the Hornet was officially out of early access, which was incorrect. He did, in fairness, later apologize for the error, and in his defense, there hasn't been much information on the aircraft's move from the early access status, which it's been in for many years now, and in addition, ED has also moved some personnel away from the Hornet project to assist, of course, with the implementation of the Viper project, and this has been signposted previously. Now, I too had some informal discussion in the comments section of my channel last week on the previous DCS Situation Report video, and someone mentioned it was out of early access. My initial feeling, which was right, was that this may not be correct, but knowing that the Hornet was close to being out of early access, I declined to fact check, and I also talked myself into being lazy and assumed it was actually out of early access based on the early assumptions about its completion status. Bad call, Prickly. It is, of course, not out of early access. It is close, however. There will, of course, be an announcement, no doubt, from Eagle Dynamics when that aircraft is ready. In the interim, it is still very, very playable, a great module. It offers a lot of versatility in one platform, and it also has a very sophisticated data link system which can really help with situational awareness. We use it a lot in the air warfare group for training purposes and other functions as well, of course. It's a very, very capable jet, and I highly recommend it. I would even recommend it as a first purchase if you haven't yet embarked on a full fidelity aircraft and you're wondering which one to get. You certainly can't go wrong with the Hornet.
Breaking.
In other news today from the newsletter, we got an update on the Hind development, which ED admitted has been a little bit thin because of the pressures of bringing the Apache up to scratch for a possible release later this month. Fingers crossed. Now, the Eagle Dynamics team explained that they have made good progress in the weapons department for the aircraft, and work on the rear gunner cabin is finished. They are working on the gunner model itself and the AI behavior for that. The rear cabin will contain a Cord 12.7mm heavy machine gun that you may have tried in the Mi-8. Apart from the rear gunner position, they are making headway on integration of the R-60 air-to-air missile. Now, the design of the cockpit panel and functionality aspects of this missile is almost feature complete, which is good news. We are planning to make this missile available before remodeling IR missile guidance in DCS. Now, that's a little snippet of information worth noting, that ED is rejigging that feature of the game as well. Hopefully we'll get a smidge more information and detail on what changes and updates they're making over the existing system. Stay tuned for more when that becomes available, as many of you are curious like me, I'm sure, on what that exactly entails. Now, getting back to the Hind specifically, ED explained that in the avionics systems department for the Hind, they have finished work on the Greben course navigation system code refactoring. We have also worked, they say, on the magnetic adjustment capabilities of the KM2 panel in the front cockpit. Now, I'm not sure exactly what that means for the navigation system. Perhaps some more fine-tuning for accuracy against the real system. It does have, in fairness, a relatively simplistic navigation system by modern standards, especially, say, the aforementioned Hornet, with its GPS aids as an example. But that's not all bad news, and it does have its own appeal to some purists who enjoy the art of flying with pen and paper navigation. I know there are a few of you out there, and you like looking at fuel consumption rates and time to destination, doing the mental gymnastics on the fly, just to bump up your pilot workload. And good on you. Helicopters, of course, have been something of a theme this past year with the likes of the Hind and the pending release of the Apache, and hopefully at a later stage the Kiowa. The theme, of course, continues, and as mentioned, the addition of the free Black Hawk mod recently set the community abuzz, as demand for helicopter content remains high. That module received an update last week too, with some improvements to the flight model. I know that some members of the Air Warfare group have been kind enough to lend some of their expertise to help with the project, which of course has growing support and is really quite well done for a free module. And I know I'm going to need some more time getting to grips with how to manage the chopper flying in general, which requires a little bit more finesse than some of the fixed wing flying requires. And on that note, Casmo TV produced a video today covering some aspects of how to improve, how to get good at helicopter flying, which, as I said, does require some more finesse. And I'm going to need to go back and look at that video a little bit more, because I'm definitely ham-fisted when it comes to the finesse involved. And that's part of the fun, though. And once you have got some more finesse in your repertoire with it, they become immensely exciting and fun to fly. Well, continuing with the choppers, outside of the Kiowa and of course the Apache as our official modules, we also have in the works a Razbam and Miltech 5 combo, which is the BO-105. Now, Miltech 5 has been working on this for some time. He partnered up with Razbam to continue the project, and of course many of you will probably recognize his association with True Grit and work on the Eurofighter modeling aspects of that aircraft. Now, he has done a lot of work on this BO-105 recently, and the exterior modeling is looking a lot more complete and certainly polished, but I think in fairness we're still a wee way off yet on anything that will be releasable. It's nonetheless encouraging, as the addition of these assets provides some tremendous combat simulation options that are opening up a wider audience, I think, to DCS World, especially in conjunction with some of the new maps we have and these expanded theaters of operation which we're going to get in the future. This, of course, applies to both single players and multiplayer users. It's really good news, and also we're getting campaigns as part of those new additions to the game as well, which is really, really cool. Now, it was brought to my attention on a slightly different tack here that the Storm of War server, which was headed up by, I believe, Phil Style and the 54th Squadron, has been shut down due to assessment from the team that, quote, DCS World War II is not a product that is compelling enough for us to continue, and we don't have enough confidence in its development. They went on to say that the admin team of the server will largely make themselves non-contactable and would rather not enter into discussions about why they made the decision. You can really only speculate then on what sound like to me managerial issues with the products that they have, and perhaps some financial issues too, as they wrestle with how they were going to manage that content available to them. Certainly DCS's World War II aircraft are in direct competition with the well-established IL-2 franchise, which has, in fairness, more planes, relatively comparable graphics and realism, as well as a well-established loyal fan or user base. Plus, of course, we are seeing World War II aircraft pop up into Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. It's kind of, again, speculative on my part to accurately assess the rationale for the departure, but there certainly was a ripple in the community, and it's sad to hear the abrupt departure of an established server like this, which hints at some frustration from that team. I doubt, though, it's directly related to individual DCS World War II products, which we know are continuing to grow. They obviously determined at this juncture in DCS's evolution that the format that they were vying for wasn't achievable, and that can certainly happen. Certainly, in the future, it could change, so fingers crossed, and let me know what your thoughts are there.
Jabal.
301 Corsair, Ball 50.
Jabal, Corsair, 27 knots.
Well, I think this brings us to the end of another DCS situation report. And I want to thank you all for tuning in this week once again. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing to support the channel as we strive to bring you news about DCS World, spiced up with my own opinions and thoughts as well. I enjoyed the discussion. I'll leave you with some images of the B-1B's updated exterior modeling from the Eagle Dynamics team. It's an exciting addition to the game, and remember we're getting a couple of other assets as well, like the Viking, that are going to be rejigged, and of course the A6 at some stage as well. So it's an exciting time. We'll see you next time on the DCS Situation.